Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm just glad you're here. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you all so much. And I want to say thank you for anyone who comes in and even checks out the knife, the EDC content. I'm glad you're here. If you like what you see, if you'd hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon down there, it really does help out the channel. But today what I wanted to do is just go through what I consider a few fantastic EDC fixed blade knives, right? I have quite a bit, I experienced quite a bit, and I like to point out some that I think are kind of special that I enjoy carrying. And the first one has sentimental value to me, but it's also a great knife. This is one of Luck Knives. That is Naff Sargent when he first started making knives. This is one of his first mini Squalls. So the Squall is a small knife. I've got it set up with a single strap and I carry it horizontal. It's got this layered micarta handle and this kind of rough cut, flat ground, sheep's footy Magna Cut blade that he heat treated, I want to say, at 64. If you guys know Naff, he is a very unique guy, is a YouTuber, collected and specialized kind of in custom knives, really unique knives. But then he sold a whole lot of his knives and started making knives. And really, I don't know if he had experience before he started making, but he's come a really long way. And this knife was one of, if I'm not mistaken, the first 5 or 6 that he made. I picked it up on the secondary from Lefty EDC, and I can tell you it is an absolutely amazing little knife. I like it for its sentimental aspects because I think it's really cool. Made by hand, made by Naff, who I've kind of never met in person, but I've always known of him. So I think it's kind of cool to have one of his knives that he made. And it's a little guy coming in at 5.5 inches with roughly a little bit over 2.5 inch blade, right at 2.25 inch cutting area with a little 3-inch handle right here. Simple layout, but very functional. I really like this little knife, and this is just a special knife for me. It's a Luck Knives little mini Squall. Moving on, this knife's made an appearance on the channel before, and it is a great knife. It is my little Solage in Germany Boker Barlow in ABEL steel. A very simple design into where I think of it as kind of like a knifey knife, to where you've got a very neutral handle, a little bit of a guard there, but it's by no means designed to be, I wouldn't think, a push dagger or anything of that nature. But it's a great foraging knife, a great EDC knife, great for opening packages, great for cutting rope, cutting string, processing cardboard. I would think it'd be a good game knife. You've got a nice flat ground blade here. It is takes a very good edge. It didn't come, and a lot of my Bokers that I get from Solingen, Germany, don't come super sharp, but they do sharpen up very well. And this little guy is just a great little knife. I like the size. It was one of the earlier fixed blades I got in my collection because originally I never carried anything horizontal on my appendix, which I do now. I really like pocket droppers, and the sheath and the simplicity of the knife kind of drew me to it. I carry it in pocket. You can carry it either way. So I just basically keep it in the sheath like that, drop it in my back pocket, and it's just a fantastic, great, well-made sheath, handmade sheath, and a nice little production knife from Solage in Germany. The little Boker Barlow BFF, micarta handles, copper pins, ABEL steel. Just a nice little knife. I really do like it. The next one is a knife that was gifted to me, or I got it in a trade as part of another, I forget, I think it was gifted to me. But this is a knife that I did not even know the origin of. I have since found out who the maker is. Not actually connected with them on Instagram and know that they make these little pricks quite often. As a matter of fact, I'll leave a link to the Instagram and to their website. I don't have any affiliation with them, but I know they just dropped a bunch of little pricks. I don't know what blade steel. I think this is, I don't know what blade steel this is, but this little guy is a very small, pointy splinter digger, satin ground, tall, flat ground, super laser beam, slicey, small knife. So this little guy, when I say small knife, it comes in right at 5 inches, 2 1/4 inch cutting area with right under a 2 1/2 inch blade, and an inside grip of right over 2 1/4. But for a 3-finger knife, it fits the hand amazingly well. And I mean, there is absolutely no resistance when you're cutting materials, whether it's paper, cardboard. It is a little laser beam. And this is, again, a knife I wasn't that familiar with. I'd never heard of Marlborough Handcraft. That's the name of the company that makes this little prick. But this little guy is, I see him posted on his Instagram quite a bit. I will link the Instagram and the website because, again, these guys were dropped on the site, I think, yesterday when I was making this video. But great little knife. I've got it set up as a little pocket dropper. I really like it. USA made, and this is the Marlborough Handcraft little prick. Moving on, come to a knife that, again, you guys have seen. If you're new to the channel, you might not have seen it. It is my smallest T.Kell knife. I'm a big fan of T.Kell. They make a lot of tactical military knives. They have a lot of partnerships with a lot of the agencies that are in the defense world. So they make some really hard use knives. Even this, their smallest, which is the Piranha, the T.Kell Piranha. It is a small little knife that is made out of EDC RV, if I'm not mistaken. But it's got, where it looks stone washed, this is a nitrate or nitron borite coating. I always get that wrong. But it is the same coating that they use in the pew industry. So it's great for heat reduction, heat treating, or not heat treating, but protecting things over heat, protecting things from friction, actually upping the temperance or the HRC of the knife. And it is just a great little blade. CNC assisted, made right here in the Southeast in Georgia by T.Kell Knives, and they have a lot of knives, and I'm a big fan of their knives. They're nice enough to send me a couple of knives out. When I first started collecting fixies, I didn't have that big of a channel, but they liked the fact that I liked their knives. I've felt a very strong connection with them, not just because they've sent me a few knives. That's been really generous of them, but because I love participating, even if I'm just creeping in their live streams that they have every Sunday morning. They're very open about what they're doing. They do a lot of different things, a lot of different style knives, knives that are in my wheelhouse, knives that aren't, knives that I initially didn't think I'd have any interest in, like the Night Stalker or the Nighthawk, both which are ring knives. But then I realized they were a little bit different. And then the most recent, the Agent 02, I just love. They're really tough knives. They are strong. They can be used for things that you shouldn't use your knife for and still hold up, because again, they're made for the military and other defense applications. This is going to come in about 5 3/4. 3-inch blade, 2 1/4 inch cutting area, we'll call it. Inside grip to the choil, I'm going to call it an open, which gives you almost 2 3/4, but we'll call it 2 1/2. Outside grip of right at 3 inches from here to here. Fantastic little blade. I had this as a pocket dropper. I'm just using the Ulti clip while I test something different, but I can still carry this on my belt, appendix style, and it's so small, it doesn't get in the way. I just carry it literally at about 12, 15 right to the right of my belt buckle. But this is the T.Kell Piranha. I'm a huge fan. We move on and we come on to a knife that is designed here in the great USA, actually one state up from me, about 45 minutes from where I live in Chattanooga. This is a Big Idea design company, Lookout. Lookout's named after a mountain in Chattanooga. And again, this was designed in US and OEM'd by Best Tech over in China. However, they've already released, I want to say 800 of these, and this one's in M390, but they've released about 800 of these in MagnaCut with micarta handles that were made in the US, and they're having another drop, or are in the process of getting ready to drop a bunch more that are made in Chattanooga. The import, this one I think runs right around $220 to $240. I forget which exactly. And the domestic, the US, come in right around $300. So I think it's a very fair price. This is a very perfect size for me in terms of it's going to be bigger than the Chickadee and the little 5-inch knives that I like, but it carries like a dream. This one ships with 2 different Kydex sheaths. If you know anything about Big Idea design, they do a lot with titanium, with interesting clips, with interesting titanium designs, with pins, with other just neat kind of gentleman EDC gear. Well, this comes with a right or a left hand sheath. This is the right hand. And then it comes with this unique clip that mounts to the front of the sheath. And it is a titanium clip. And if you can tell, it's mounted for deeper carry. So when I've got this in the sheath and I put it inside my pocket, I'm only having this much of the blade exposed. So I think that's a huge win. I think the size of the knife, I think the blade shape is fantastic. It's just a nice drop point. Very thin, cuts very well. Could be used for a lot of different things. Comes with, this particular one came with titanium handles, but you can get it with other scale materials if you were looking for something lighter, maybe micarta. I think it might even come in G10. But when I talk about size, it's just kind of a nice size. It's 6 inches with a easy inside grip to right here of 3 inches. If you look at the back grip, it's 3.5 inches. You do have this open bolt at the back in case you wanted to include a lanyard. You have got, I'm going to call it a 2 3/4 inch blade with a 2 1/4 inch cutting edge. Really nice sharpening choil. Really nice swedge up on the front. Nice jimping. Small, discreet. Locks in like a dream. Just a great little knife. And this is the Big Idea Design Co. Lookout. And this is the imported version. And it's OEM by Best Tech. Moving on, we come to a great all-around EDC knife that was actually designed for that purpose. I know Daily Carry and Boker are partners in this knife, but there's also the gentleman that designed it. And I forget his name, and I feel terrible, but this is the Boker AK1. The Boker AK1 is a very popular EDC fixed blade. It's made in Solingen, Germany. This one's made in RWL 34. It does have a lanyard attachment, which goes right here on the back. This is actually a little, almost like a puzzle piece. When you take this scale off, You can flip this around and it exposes a small little area where you could tie off a lanyard. I don't use a lanyard, so I don't need it, but it's a reverse Tonto, very thin, flat ground blade. This one came with carbon fiber handles. This is, again, a great size, a little bit bigger than my tinier knives. And then it comes with this really nice sheath from Boker that has an integrated ulti-clip. So again, I carry this in my back pocket or in my right pocket. Inside the pocket, I have this much of the knife exposed, and it's very easy to get in and out of the sheath. One of the more slicey fixed blades that I have, and a great knife to carry because it is very light, but it's very, very sharp, has very nice blade geometry. I'm a big fan of RWL 34. I don't know why. I've just got a couple of fixed blades with it, and both of them just cut really well. And one of the things I'm going to do as the channel goes on, one of my, I wouldn't call it a resolution, but just one of the commitments that I've made to myself, is to kind of learn more about steel properties, steel uses, what makes steels good for one knife but not good for another. Because that's something, like I always say, and I'm very open about it. I talk about it in my channel description. I talk about how knives make me feel. I picked this knife up because when I was, as I still am, big into fixed blades, this seemed like a great contender. It seemed like a knife that I would really enjoy carrying, cutting with, which I do. And this guy comes in perfect size, under 7 inches, 6 3/4 I'm gonna call it, and I'm giving it a little bit there. 3-inch blade, between 2 3/4 and 3-inch cutting area, and then you've got a full inside grip of over 3 3/4, almost 4 inches. So you've almost got 4 inches here, 3-inch blade, great geometry, great blade steel. God, I hate to do this, but I feel like I need to show it because I think it's an engineering marvel. I'm just going to take these scales off real quick. On this one side, just to show you, this is the little piece I was referring to. I don't know if you can see it in there. I think it's ingenious. I love German engineering, but you can simply pop that out. It's press fit, not press fit in there, but it fits in there perfectly. So you kind of got to get it just right to come out. Or I could turn it upside down and there we go. And then all you do is you flip it and you notice it locks in just the same way, but just gives it a little bit of a kick. And then when you put the scale back on, you've got your little lanyard hole or lanyard spot. So I thought that was really neat. I didn't even know I could make that disappear until I was taking it apart and oiling it up, which I need to do again. I need to do a little full-on breakdown maintenance, clean up the blade, add a little oil, make sure it doesn't get corrosion. They pick up a lot of leather. That's not corrosion, but at the same time, knife maintenance is a good thing. I've got several videos on the way I maintain both fixed blades and folders. There are other ways to do it, but I hope they're helpful if you guys ever look. But that's the Boker AK1 from Soligen, Germany. Great, great knife. Moving on, we come to a USA-made knife that is probably one of my all-time favorites. It is the Axial knives, Alpine, and this is the Wharncliffe. They have 3 blade shapes of this knife. They have a nice drop point, they have a Tonto, and then they have the Wharncliffe. It is Magna Cut. It is made in Dallas, Texas. It is a great size. It is super slicey. I love the sheath. I put the ulti clip on it and I carry it in my pocket. absolutely fantastic retention. It actually came with this little lanyard, and I'm not really a lanyard guy, but I like it, and I've stuck with it because I do like it that much. But this little guy is 6 3/4 inches, so a great size. 3 1/4 inch blade, 3-inch cutting area, and a 3 1/2 inch handle. So Maximat, or excuse me, Maximat, that's an old term. MagnaCut, USA made Wharncliffe fixie that I think feels great ergonomically, cuts great, carries great, just a winner. I mean, and these guys are some of my favorites, and I almost left out my number one, and it's actually one of my more recent acquisitions that I picked up after getting the chance to review it. I liked it so much that I bought it, and this is my number one recent EDC fabulous, fantastic fixed blade that I carry all the time. It's got a great sheath with a deep carry, deep concealment clip. So when I put it back in there, I'll show you how little of the handle you have out. But this is called the RanchDog. It's got a little spay blade. It's got a nice belt satin. It's crafted out of 3V. It has got, this particular one has a, I want to say Wingay and Bacati handles, all wood, all natural, full tank construction. It came with this lanyard, which I actually need to tighten up, that I have also kept on it because I thought it was cool. And I need to melt this down, get it good and tight so it doesn't come untied. But I wouldn't mind it if I didn't have it either. But this knife is just a little grinder, very small. But if you're looking at a replacement to cut fruit, to open packages, to cut rope, to cut cardboard, to cut really anything. And again, vegetables, if you're gardening, it's called the RanchDog because it's kind of a field knife, but it's a little guy. I want to say it's going to come in right at 5 inches. Nope, I was wrong. It is a almost 6-inch knife, over 5 3/4, between 5 3/4 and 6. It has got over a 2 1/2 inch blade, between 2 1/2 and 2 3/4, with a right under 2 1/2 inch cutting area. You've got this really neutral handle that comes in at 3 1/4. And you've got this nice concave little area that's not only what helps retain the retention in the sheath, but it gives you great retention in your hand. You've got sharp, not cut your fingers sharp, but sharp lock in, jimping on the back here, also on the front. So this knife just really performs as a little EDC powerhouse. I love it. Great retention in the sheath. It's not going out of there. You couldn't shake it out if you wanted to. And it has been, as I can't get it back out because I've got it in a weird position, it has been one of my favorites. And it's definitely, as all of these are, highly recommended by me as terms of I love them. If I lost them, would I replace them? If I could afford to do so, I absolutely would. If my mom said, John, I'm looking for a couple of good EDC fixed blades, what would you recommend? I would have no problem pointing her towards any of these knives. I think they're all special in their own right. I think they all carry great for my style, which is an enhancement to my primary carry. And like I was talking to a gentleman today who sells a lot of fixed blades, EDC fixed blades, and carries them. He finds himself, like I do, and I thought it was just me, but using them more just for his daily open the mail, open a package, cut this twine, whatever the case may be, because it's easier for him to get to and get out the way he carries it. So we've got the Luck Knives Mini Squall. We've got the Boker BFF Barlow BFF. We've got the Marlborough Handcraft Little Prick. We've got our T.Kell Piranha. We have got our Big Idea Design Co. Lookout. We've got our Boker Knives AK1 Daily Carry, Boker Knives AK1. We've got our Alpine Knives Magna Cut Alpine. And then we've got our little Lucky Dog Knives RanchDog. Guys, thank you for watching. I always appreciate you joining me. If you're still here, give me a thumbs up if you're up for it. Thumbs down if I've said something to offend you. But guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Do me a huge and look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for one another. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.